Good morning. As you can see, we left Magdala some time ago and drove over to Wadi Hammam where we parked, and here we are. And this is Denny.
Morning.
He's very happy still because Spain beat France in the semi-finals of the European Cup. He's a Spaniard. And here we have Migdal waking up. And you can see that big truck down there. That tells you how far up we are. So it's always beautiful to come up here and to have a good reason to come up, which is always there really. But then there are concrete reasons. Some visitor comes and says, I want to climb Mount Arbel. I hear you like to climb Mount Arbel for sunrise. So here we are. Usually I start the sunrises further over, but we had a delay this morning because a wild boar sprung up from close to us and was then not visible. So I got out the camera and I got about a minute of the wild boar, a smaller one, cruising along the side of the mountain. And that was, I will post that later on, God willing. Maybe on Instagram. It's a vertical video. So let's see. It was great to have the boar running for, I would say, almost a minute. In full view of the camera, zoomed in. Be careful where you step here. You don't want to slip, because this goes down pretty deep there. Oh, okay. Danny has my sticks, so normally I go through here with sticks, but now I'm holding the camera. So it's like steep going up here, it's also steep going down below us. The sound of the cars carries up here almost as if they were beside us. But then when you don't have cars in the background, you can hear the cocks crowing, which is a much lower sound, although it's obviously got a high pitch. A smaller volume of sound. So here we are at our perch for the sunrise as we get a glimpse of Magdala. So, ¿quieres subir a la cueva? Sigues allá, al lado, hay un camino y hay un trozo de monte ahí, y entonces vas al otro lado de eso y sigue, ya estás casi al otro lado ahí. Yo voy a tardar casi media hora para terminar lo que necesito hacer para poder conversar. ¿Ok? Pero tú disfrutas. Okay. A lo mejor encuentras Jesús también arriba.
No lo encuentro.
Disfruta.
¿Te vas a estar por aquí?
Sí, yo me quedo aquí. So people, here we are. I'm just going to get organized, get out my bottle of water. Si quieres usar los palos para subir, tómalos con tranquilidad. Oh, Lord. So now I'm sitting down, people. This is supposed to be sunrise stroll and chat, but I did my strolling already, so you guys, can you do your strolling while we're chatting? And I'm going to get a drink of water as I park you there to watch the sunrise. And then we'll get started a little bit more formally, as informal as stroll and chat allows. It's amazing. Ah, yeah, you can go there, yeah. Sí, vas a estar detrás de esa peña ahí.
Sí.
Donde están muchas plantas ahí en la pared. Ahí. Pero sigues para allá y del otro lado está la cueva. No vas a perderte aquí, híjole. ¿Sabes dónde está Magda? Ahí estoy yo. So people, what a lovely place to be. What a delightful place to be. And actually, in case somebody is that interested, today we remember on the calendar Saint Benedict. He lived about 1600 years ago, 1500 years ago. I think he was born in 480. And there's a Benedictine monastery right at the multiplication of the loaves, which is basically at the very corner here, just north of us in the lake. When the Sea of Galilee turns to the east here, the northeast corner, and there you have the Pilgrim House, and right above it is the Mount of Beatitudes. And then if you come back on the water, let's go in there a little bit more detail for you. So here at the corner of the lake, more or less, is where you have the Pilgrim House, and right above it is the Mount of Beatitudes. No, just here, like just a little bit there, you can see the banana plantation covers. And then right behind it is the Mount of Beatitudes. And now Mount Hermon is getting hazier. Mount Hermon, where did you go? I think you're over here. There, yes, this is it now. This is Mount Hermon, but it's getting hazier as the air warms up, or the impact of the sun and the whatever dampness is there, if there is such. And here we have this beautiful fertile valley of Gennesaret. Just amazing, very well cultivated, very rich soil, abundant crops, delicious mangoes and avocados and olives. So let's take a look at our readings today. I love the readings, this reading today, one of my favorite readings from the Old Testament. I often stop with that during spiritual exercises if the preacher suggests it, and have relished it and delighted in it. It also provides a nice sample evidence that the God of the Old Testament is God of love. He created the whole world for us. It was an amazing work of love. But because there are certain harsh passages which reflect more the human heart and the untrained, uncivilized, uncultivated, materialistic human heart, the heart of revenge, the heart of egotism, then sometimes the impression is that God is harsh and vengeful. That's not the heart of God. And if we read this text today, it's really amazing. When Israel was a child, I loved him. Out of Egypt I called my son. The more I called him, the further they went from me. And that's a sad piece. It's a little bit like the reading yesterday. The more prosperous they became, the more idolatry they indulged in. But I want to go down, I'm going to skip a few of those lines there. Yet it was I who taught Ephraim to walk, who took them in my arms. I drew them with human cords, with bands of love. I fostered them like one who raises an infant to his cheeks. What incredible imagery. And there you see, we could look at this from another angle. We could look at it from the angle of the heart of Hosea the prophet. Hosea is a great prophet of love. And we've remembered that he also is one of his very big themes is how God espouses Israel. So here we have God as father, and then how God is spouse. So Hosea was very sensitive to those peak human experiences in the cosmos. There's probably no greater experience than fatherhood, parenthood, motherhood, and obviously the corollary is childhood, an infant, a child, begotten of the parents, and spousal love. These are by way the most exalted human experiences in the order of creation. And everything in creation speaks of our Creator, everything. The vine and the branches, and the roots, and the variety of movements that we have. We can move in the water and swim or float. We can walk or run on the ground. And then with technical help, we can imitate the birds and we can fly in the air. All of these things speak of the abundance and richness of God, of our Creator. The sunrise, each day a new day, and the darkness is overcome. Water and its importance here in a desert climate. Its importance everywhere, but particularly sensitive in a desert climate. So many realities speak to us. A shepherd and sheep, a potter and clay developing beautiful ceramics. And all of these things speak to us about the relationship we have with God. But nothing like spousal love and parental love. I just love this text. I drew them with human cords. I took them in my arms. I taught Ephraim how to walk. There's a couple here with twins, and it's just so beautiful to see that relationship. And they're a year old now. The more I called them, the further they went from me. It was a very hard experience. I've shared with you a few times of a Belgian family, and they had a farm, and all the cousins came in the summertime for a sleepover in the barn, all the kids. And obviously there was some neglect, and maybe the kids were playing, or I don't know what happened, but the barn took fire. It was a very, very sad event when the dad was obviously frantically trying to rescue the kids, and his own son came out toward him. He was calling him, but the boy was confused and he ran back into the flames. It was so sad. So sad for years for that family to overcome that grief and the responsibility they felt for those children that were lost. And we have this text here, the dad calling his child, with a child running in the wrong direction to destruction. The more I called them, the further they went from me. Yet, though I stooped to feed my child, they did not know that I was their healer. Which brings in another term, another image, the healer, the father who is also a healer. I took them in my arms, I drew them with human cords, with bands of love. My heart is overwhelmed, my pity is stirred. I will not destroy Ephraim again, for I am God and not man, the Holy One present among you. I will not let the flames consume you, which is very interesting that we see that now, also remembering that other story from Belgium. I will not let the flames consume you. Our experience of God, of His goodness, of His closeness, of His love, of His tender guidance and presence in our lives, that word is also very, very beautiful. You know, think about this. Here it says, the Holy One present among you. God is present among us, always. He doesn't abandon us. He is Emmanuel. Even in our darkest times, in our most troubled times, our greatest and deepest frustrations and disappointments, God is with us. And then we have the psalm, let us see your face, Lord, and we shall be saved. You have the link for those texts that we just saw there on the camera. So every day we include the link here, and you can see that. And then Jesus has just called the apostles in yesterday's reading. We're here in Galilee, and He's given them instructions going out. And He says, don't take anything, don't take 2 staffs. I have 2 sticks here for walking, I'm sorry, Jesus. But going up and down the mountain, that's very handy. It gives you great balance and security. But that's interesting, you know, to take the minimum necessary. To take the minimum necessary. Don't take gold or silver or copper. Trust in the Father. This Father who loves you, who takes you up to His cheek. That's an amazing text in there. I didn't show you that one there, but it's so beautiful. We have to look at it. Let's find it here. I fostered them like one who raises an infant to his cheeks. Let God do that to you today. Let Him raise you up to His cheeks. It's imagery, because God is spiritual. And raising up to our cheeks is a very diluted experience of the love and the intimacy God wants to have with us in our soul. And the more God grants us of His intimacy, of the experience as we grow in the spiritual life and prayer life over time, in the midst of trials and troubles, then also that sense grows of how insufficient is our response. And that's a trial for the soul, a very healthy trial, because it increases the love we owe God. Everything. Everything. That whole relationship is such a gift. Let us see your face, O Lord, and we shall be saved. So now the apostles go out all over, from village to village, town to town, country to country, you know. They said Thomas went to India, and James went to Spain, and Andrew went to Greece, and Thomas went to India, I said that already. And there are talks of Philip going to Ethiopia, going that direction. We have all the churches have their tradition handed on, their connection with the apostles. And it's the path of all disciples and witnesses. Sometimes people go to another country because of marriage. But that's also providential that you go there. And to go with providence, imagine the experience of providence that the immigrants have, people who are trafficked humanly. And they are living in the Western world. It's very, very slick how the trafficking networks operate, because the consumption of human labor through human trafficked people is in the Western world, where people have money to pay for it. and they're in very disguised circumstances, and that's very sad. And yet God is accompanying each of them, and there are even great saints who had been trafficked, and they discovered God's presence. As that lady from Africa, I don't remember her name right now, Bakita, and she also was tortured and abused, and she wasn't Christian. And when she found the crucifix, she realized, and you heard the story, she realized that God had been with her the whole time, sustaining her through those ordeals. An extraordinary saint. And then the instructions for the apostles to go in with great respect for any household that they came to, and to stay in one house, not be going around looking for the nicest place, to stay in one house where there was a little generosity, to share some bread, and not to be moving around. The apostles aren't out there on the road for themselves. They're out there to announce the kingdom of God, to bring the healing and goodness of the kingdom. And since that, the church has operated like this through 2,000 years. Schools, hospitals, orphanages, helping people in need, encouraging people, helping them in their situations. Even in advanced countries like the United States or Italy or Spain, England, all these countries, a lot of the healthcare is still provided by sisters, by brothers, a lot of care for mental health. And thanks be to God, society has learned to do more and more of that, and the whole social network that protects people that fall between the cracks and in need. But just the other day, we heard reports from Spain that there are like 11,000 children between the ages of 11 to 15 or 16 who have come from Africa on rafts and boats, and they're trafficked into Europe, and the different towns have to take them in. So the need is there, and what great need it is for disciples of Jesus to open their eyes to see these things. And these are the apostles, the one Jesus sends out. And that's our life. So people, we leave it like that for today. Here from Mount Arbel, I wonder if our friend, I forgot to trace him as he was going up. Danny, he went up to the cave. The big cave is up around the corner there. So we'll hope that he'll be coming back before midnight. I'm going to do the Instagram post now and wish you many, many blessings. So see you later, alligators. Yeah, you see me there. I can't hardly see where the light is here. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Spread the word.